Jean Marie's not online.
Hello.
Jean
I
Marie,
can't
can
I can't hear. Oh, now maybe I can hear you.
you hear us now?
Yes. Yeah. I was
Fix
trying
it.
to I was trying to call Tom to say, "Hey, let me in," or somebody.
All right.
All right. Call to order. Those present, gonna take attendance, Eric?
I already got that. Thank you.
Great. Have the motion to approve the minutes of January 28th.
So moved.
Any opposed?
Second, that?
Okay.
I have to abstain as I was not at that meeting. I was unable to make the meeting.
Okay. Okay. Any objections? I guess not. So the approval of the minutes then. Tom's been involved in this, the LD 2173 and 1829. Have you got any updates, Liam? Yeah.
I guess the only real update, and I know that this has been working its way through the town council, but Tom was able to provide some written testimony to the board in his absence. I know that Councillor Kane did provide some in-person testimony. Right now, it's working through the committee process. There's no real update to speak of. I'm not sure how hopeful people are that the changes that we were seeking were going to actually be seen in the final bill, but that's still in process. So beyond that, no real update, Bill.
Thank you. Yeah, it looks to me that what was included in our package, that hearing is rescheduled for 2/10/26. Is that right?
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Actually,
2/10?
no, I think it was actually two. I think it was two last
Next
Tuesday.
day.
Yeah.
I was going to say that hearing was recent because
believe.
it was because I see the committee schedules because of my involvement with the legislature as a commissioner.
Yeah, that was last Tuesday was the actual testimony. I know Larry was,
Okay.
Councilor King was there.
Okay. Any comments from this group? Anything else you want to add at this juncture?
No, I think they weren't able to present our recommended changes because of the schedule changes, but I think they submitted that in writing.
That is correct. This was actually what was submitted in writing, what's
Right.
included in your packet. Yep.
So
I know that
Go
we're
ahead.
not the only municipality who was pushing back on them. Now where that will go, I don't know. I know I've talked to a couple people informally and told them, I said, geez, is there some way you can carve out and say those municipalities who are already doing what they should be doing? Can they be, can you have something, a carrot and a stick type thing where you reward people who do the right thing and then those municipalities who are still dragging their heels, you do something to make them move on it. So anyway.
Thank you.
We hope.
The next item up is the school impact fees, and Tom brought this to our attention like late in the meeting last time we met. One of the things you brought to our attention was that the affordable housing exemption was not part of this school impact fee calculation, recalculation. And I guess it's under consideration here to advocate for that or talk about it. Is any updates on your end?
So this is where this stands. The council process has gone to first reading. It's actually slated for second reading and public hearing next Wednesday, the 4th, March 4th. I do know that there were some councilor comments at the meeting regarding how this would apply to affordable housing. I think that there was some commentary around, when you're talking about multi-unit affordable housing, this is actually does represent a reduced cost with many developments. But there was some concern around single family affordable housing developments that where this might be a real barrier. I don't know whether any counselors will bring forward an amendment to try to account for that, but I do know there was some discussion about it. As a follow-up to a leadership meeting this afternoon, so check in with one counselor specifically to see if that would come forward. But that's where it stands in the process. It's slated for approval and adoption or action in a way next week. So time is of the essence if this group has any suggestions.
I haven't heard anything, but did you say you attended the leadership meeting today?
Yeah, this afternoon it came up with Chair Fellows and Vice Chair Kane just about whether there was, I think Councilor Anderson had made a comment at the council meeting about should we look at some sort of exemption or consideration for a single family affordable housing development. So I was gonna check in with Councilor Anderson to see if he still wished to pursue that, and if so, try to get organized for next week.
Yeah, give us a heads up in advance so we can take a
Sure.
good look at it.
Otherwise, it's a item that's been worked through the finance committee, I think going back to last fall. So it's gotten quite a lot of work from the council standpoint, not to say that there aren't additional revisions that can be considered.
There was also some discussion about having just one category for single family homes versus grading them on number of bedrooms. Did that go anywhere, that discussion? Because it seems to me that, one bedroom gets charged as another than 4 bedroom. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right. I know that I believe that Karen Martin provided some response to that question at the council meeting. That's the other follow-up item.
Yeah.
To expand on the rationale, because again, the existing impact fee, as well as a fairly recently adopted recreation impact fee, really looks at the housing unit by bedroom. And again, this approach changed to be how large of a development it is. So we're certainly going to ask her to expand on that rationale for the second reading and public hearing.
This group have any thoughts on how to advance that discussion? Is there any?
I have a question. And again, I apologize. I wasn't able to make the last meeting, but what do other municipalities do with affordable housing with impact fees? School impact fees in particular, do we know?
I certainly can't answer that, Jean Marie, off the
Okay.
top. Again, I expect that's something that we could certainly provide some context to, but probably not this evening.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, to me, that's just something I would encourage us to potentially look at. Because when you're doing impact fees, yeah, it affects the value, obviously, of construction and whether or not developers want to go in and construct because of the impact fees. They'll whine about them. I hate to use that term, but they do. And are we competing on an even ground when it comes to the affordable housing? It's just what I'm kind of thinking in my brain.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe get your opinion on whether the council wants our input, but my feeling is, it's going to increase the cost to the builder.
Right.
So if the builder can't really pass those fees on to the buyer in the same way they can in just a regular housing project, right? At market value, because the market value, what they can get for the house is set, it's cash. So it's another cost to the builder, and we're trying to, in my mind, getting the builders to build more affordable housing. It's just another disincentive for them to do that. When you're talking those kind of numbers, what's the impact fee like?
11,000.
Oh, so it's a significant amount of money. So yeah. I think it's as a disincentive for builders to build affordable housing. I don't think we need that.
I guess I was surprised to think that it was dropped, and we were coming late to it again, so it's really hard to kind of jump on this moving train. So I don't understand even why it was dropped. I don't know whether you have any insights of
Why
why
the
the affordable housing exemption was not part of the equation.
I don't recall, Bill, off the top of my head, where the discussion went on that specific issue. Again, I would like to presume that there was some well thought out plan there, but I can't speak to that specifically.
Would it have anything to do with the schools? Cause I know we were trying to get the school done. Taxpayers didn't wanna pay for it, they wanted the builders to be coming in bill to pay for it, and council's been pretty upfront with people, telling them that they're gonna put some impact fees in their new bills. Wondering if that had something to do with it.
Well, a lot of the analysis was certainly rooted in what the actual experience has been, what drives children in school by housing type. And so that was certainly an overarching consideration when looking at reworking what is an appropriate impact fee. And then, of course, extrapolating that out over a period of time with the debt that we have both on the books and expect to have on the books with the new school project. So I know that was the root of the rationale for it, was really looking at it's the type of housing that drives student enrollment. So again, I can't speak to why that exception was dropped or not included moving forward, but again, I think there's probably a very clear explanation for it.
I guess if there's anything brought to your attention about this exemption in the next couple of days, you could kind of.
Sure, absolutely. Happy to circle back.
Ping us and
Yeah,
we could,
Rally.
reconvene and talk about it, see if there's something we can need to react to.
sure. Happy to.
Yeah, it kind of gets to my kind of constant thought about this committee. It's kind of what is our role and how much input does the town council want? I mean, this is the sort of thing I think that they would reach out and say, can we get your thoughts on this? So we don't come to this late in every case.
It's the same thing with your question about short-term
Right.
rentals. It's
Exactly.
way down the road, so was 1829.
Right.
So, you feel kind of a little helpless in terms
Yeah.
of trying to do anything meaningful
Right.
or and constructive, I think that's a overarching kind of theme.
Right.
Agree with you. So I guess, I don't know where to pick that up. Unless it's a thought for the council to come, when they hear housing,
Sure.
they reach out.
Sure.
That would be helpful.
I certainly can run some of these questions to the ground and either myself or the manager can respond before the end of the week. And therefore, if you have any reactions or opinions, either as individual members or want to get organized as a committee, you can provide some public comment to the town council between now and the Wednesday meeting. But I do know that this is something that's a question on their minds, and so I think that it wouldn't be a totally foreign concept.
Should we decide we want to recommend they reinstate that exemption?
I don't know, I don't,
Yeah.
it's hard to say, on its face, sure, it sounds like something we ought to have.
Yeah,
But, was part of the calculus that we don't need it because we've done something else? I don't really know, and
right.
the pack, even the.
At least posing the question and getting a clarification
Right.
will,
Because fundamentally,
doesn't move forward blindly.
fundamentally, it's gonna raise costs, and that's probably not a good thing if you're trying to.
Yeah.
Spur development, for affordable housing.
So is it safe to say at a minimum, the Alliance has a question about how the impact fees as proposed and constructed will impact affordable housing
Yeah.
developments, and they have a concern around that? Is that
Yeah,
fair?
well, there was an affordable housing exemption, there is one now,
Right,
and
right.
Yeah, why was it removed and would they like our thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Our input?
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Let's find out, what they're thinking.
Happy to convey that and
If
circle
they
back.
don't want us, they don't
Good.
looking for an opinion, that's fine too, but,
No,
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
it ended
too.
up on your agenda.
So you look, if you read the charter of this group, it's exactly this sort of thing you're supposed to be doing,
Yeah,
giving them some thoughts and some input.
and we have limitations, I mean, a school impact fee doesn't sound like a housing issue, but. It is a housing issue, I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about,
I'd like to hear how Corey feels about it, because he's generally sympathetic to
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, I will circle back to the group.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else on that subject? Jean Marie?
Nope.
Okay. Housing assessment, this has been on the agenda for a while. I have an update, the last time we met. We've got an RFQ teed up for, someone. And we were short on names the last time we met. But I did, reach out to Greg Payne in the governor's office, and he gave me the name of HRA Advisors, which is logical that he would, because they did the state study and they've done studies for Bangor. Looks like they've also done a study now for Auburn. Both of those were 2025, 2026, and it was just, housing needs statewide was a really comprehensive one done in like 2023. And it was done in conjunction with the governor's office, main housing, and DECD. So anyway, that group has been in the state. He gave me some contact information. I responded to those people at HRA. I have a call scheduled with them at 1:30 on Friday to talk preliminarily about that. But I don't want to get ahead of this group. And I'm happy to not take that call or contact them. I'm a little, I don't know the process, and I need to understand the process a little more before I have an intelligent conversation with them, or anybody does. But I wanted to bring the update with that is it makes sense that this should be on at least a list. Given their experience, and it seems to hit the same notes that we were trying to hit in our list of wants and housing study. So I just throw that into the mix, and you can tell me too if it's premature that I talk with them on Friday, or I get an update with them in terms of I haven't shared anything else with them except Scarborough is looking to update their housing needs study from 25%. Any?
I don't think having some more information and speaking with someone who might be interested in doing this work is a bad thing. I mean, if you're bringing them up to speed, I think Tom was generally apologetic that he hadn't further developed the scope of work beyond kind of bullet points that were in the packet. So he understands he needs to bolster that and turn it into an actual RFQ process. But again, I think having conversations with people who might be able to do the work and finding out any suggestions before we go through that whole process, you do that thing.
Yeah, the Auburn study and the Bangor study are available to us,
Yeah.
right? And we can look at what they
Yeah.
scope and what the reports look like. And then of course the state of Maine study is a little more than we need.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what drove this whole 80,000 unit requirement. That's that. So that's a lot of actions being taken based on that. Right.
I like the idea that they've gotten into the municipality level.
Right. Yeah,
In the state, so they can know, they know the data sets, they know where to get the information. The extent they can even compare and contrast those two municipalities, right, would be very helpful, and I suspect they've probably done some other work too. But I mean, I'll take the call on Friday and then
Report back.
try to circle back, and maybe you and Tom when he gets back and.
Yeah, because good input. You said Tom was gonna finish the RFP.
I think
Process.
he understands he needs to. That's the next step is to move beyond the bullet points. I think
Yeah.
any feedback, certainly on this kind of rough outline.
I think those two studies.
Be useful.
If you go online,
Yeah,
it's exactly what we're.
sure. Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, even if you blend the two of them, I mean, they look. You pick and choose,
Yeah.
but you get the context for a pretty.
Yeah, they can just get their level of interest in participating.
Yeah.
And get their two reports from. That'd probably be a useful call.
I'm guessing those reports for Auburn and Bangor are publicly available.
I found them.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Okay. I
they're
can
there.
track them down.
And I thought they may have done work for other municipalities, I don't know.
Okay.
But anyway, it makes sense to track this one down. Unless there's some objections, right?
No, I like it.
I like it too.
All right, discussion item, item 7, rental option for what the affordability agreement. This is nice to get this one off the agenda, but get some closure on this. This goes back almost 2 years this summer, when first started, maybe even further, talking about this. And there is a handout in here that we were working from deep into this package.
Yeah, it wasn't clear what the question was. If it's just legalese, I can't help it.
Yeah, remind me what,
All right, someone who is under an affordable housing agreement with the town is asked that they could rent their property, basically.
You agreed that that would be okay.
and the town council said, yeah, as long as it meets the qualifications of an affordable housing candidate.
Yeah, what the item, this is item 7, I don't know what page is 23 of 31. Is this I wrote up a couple summers ago when we were looking at this. And the rental option is in their agreements. It clearly says the stipulation 2.4 says is an owner occupancy requirement. Period. Basically goes into some detail about what that means. And what somebody has to do to kind of keep their status. Saying if there's an acknowledgement, I guess, to the town or something like that. But the other piece that's in this rental agreement is a conversion of rental property.
Yeah.
And it talks about in the event the town allows the property to be converted from owner occupied to rental, this agreement and covenant contained will survive. The affordable requirements will comply with the then applicable renter occupied housing unit under the ordinance. So the question is, if the town allows, and there's no criteria around it. There's no who's gonna consider it? Is it this committee? Is it the council? Is it Tom? And so I think that was where we left the whole thing. I mean, under what circumstances would we allow someone to rent? And this, to try to minimize the burden on, town administration. But what does it mean? I guess if we could weigh in a little bit here, lean into this a little bit. What are people's thoughts? I mean, is it economic hardship? I mean, I bulleted a couple of these. What's the term of the rental? Rental occupied housing unit is a defined term of the ordinance, and so that's already provided for. But are there other considerations? And
Have we had a legal opinion on this? I should know the answer to that, but I don't remember.
I don't think we did. I think what will happen is this committee might have a recommendation, and then we would have to go back and talk to council and get some legal advice as to what it is. Of course, it means changing these agreements, existing agreements. Which is not insignificant.
Right.
We don't have time.
Right.
but it isn't this saying that in those circumstances that arise where an owner who qualifies, that's why he's there, if he's fulfilled all the legal obligations, he wants to rent it now. Well, he's got to rent it to somebody else who qualifies.
Right.
And it has the words in there, in the event that the town allows the property to be converted. I guess that refers to the town says, well, okay, hold on, let's just make sure that the new guy qualifies, the renter.
If it's that simple, that's fine. I think that's the clarity that, or a something that we're
But
looking for.
that's my reading of it, that it was put in there to make certain that there is a process by which qualification is confirmed. And that process is the town allows the property to be converted.
My understanding too was that it had to be. It couldn't just be something someone bought. For affordable housing and then just decided they wanted to up and leave and rent that unit. Had to be an exception of some sort, like with the person that we had ask us was moving in with their boyfriend, I believe it was at the time. Basically came to us because she couldn't sell it. And she wanted to rent it and wanted that as an option, and that's when we started exploring the sites of thought.
Yeah, she's asked the question.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah.
Right,
And so this, just for my clarity, this section 6.3 is also in the agreement that was signed. So when you said we need to amend all the agreements.
if we make any changes.
So if we translate this as being fine, then we don't need to amend the agreements.
Right, but what does allow mean? I think that's the question, or does
I also wonder what conversion is.
I to be converted,
To rent from version.
from ownership to rent?
I think they could have said,
Conversion?
I don't know.
Qualified use conversion or something,
yeah, just, you could have used the word changed.
yeah.
That the property needs to be changed from owner occupied to renter occupied. Conversion doesn't seem to fit particularly well in the context, when all they really mean is to change of status.
So we all agree that. Well, I think a consensus with this committee has been that this, we would allow, to allow the rental.
Yes.
So. Should we just go open, say to council, like legal counsel, what would you recommend to change? What would we need to do to accomplish that?
To
And how
me,
would-
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. To me, the question is, as you mentioned, the town allows the property. Well, what's that mean? Who's representing the town? What's the process? I mean, not to get too far into the weeds. And what do you mean by allow? I know I'm getting really in the weeds now, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, do we have
But I
something
think all it means is
outlay?
it qualifies, meets the requirements that are embedded in the ordinance itself.
Right. And Bill, I know you've been an attorney, so that's why, do you think this wording is adequate for allowing that? Because I don't want wording that's gonna tie everyone up into whatever. And of course, what we're looking at is, I guess it's the deed or whatever. It's a recorded document. So anyway, I just want to make sure we do it correctly. I don't have a problem with people because life circumstances change, and you're right. It is, as I'm recalling, it was a woman who wanted to move in with a significant other, and she couldn't sell it because of whatever, I forget but
It's the
so
interest
she
rate.
could rent it. Yeah.
So she had to sell it for below
Below
below what she bought it for.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Right.
I guess so. We're in agreement on the rental option,
Yeah, I
Now-
thought we did that last.
right? We've done it a couple times, I think.
Okay.
But do we need to do anything about allows, or does the town administrator need to articulate to us what you might want to do with that? How does
I think-
allow happen?
I think I would encourage you to for the purposes of this discussion, sidestep how the town allows it. What you're saying is we support allowing it.
Right,
There's a procedural question about who then allows it.
What the process is.
And so if you sidestep that procedural question, then you get into what are the parameters in which you'd be supportive of that. I think those are the bullet points there, the economic
those are
justifications.
the things that might be considered,
Sure.
but it doesn't mean, and getting to a rental situation is you know, there should be a map for that, should be some steps to be taken if you need to consider it.
Right, the process, the
Yeah, and so-
application, what,
Right, and maybe this committee isn't involved in it at all.
yeah, that's the question.
You
Right?
know, I mean,
Is
they haven't
there,
been-
is the process delineated somewhere? Because all I've got here is the
That's the
DP
question. Yeah.
that says, then will comply with the then applicable rent to occupied housing unit affordability requirements as set forth in ordinance. I don't remember the ordinance.
Well, no,
Yeah, that exists.
and so, I mean. This may be written fine, I think to your point, Bill, like you just said, it's maybe we cast our support for it being. Permitted to be a rental and for the town to get sort of legal clarity on whether this
Right,
accomplishes that.
right, even look at it, if you were entered into this agreement, how do I do that? I mean, allows, who do I talk to at the town?
Yeah, that's the next question.
Yeah, I think that will have a definitive answer, whether it requires some action by the elected body or the manager. I think. Again, what I'm hearing is there's general support for allowing this to happen,
Absolutely.
however that happens. But I think getting some clarity on what your thoughts are on those considerations or those circumstances that would allow for the property to be converted from owner occupied to renter. Yeah.
Yeah, and the only question I have is, what are the conditions, and are we really in the position to judge somebody's
Economic
economic
I
hardship?
know.
Or to me, my thought went to, what I want to avoid is somebody buying this house and then just flipping it to rental right away.
No.
If they can figure, if there's a margin there and make money. So I would say after 1 year of ownership or some period of time
Oh, yeah.
where they couldn't rent it, to avoid that from happening.
Well, if they bought and they qualified, we wouldn't let them buy it unless they
Right.
qualified.
Right.
And then they said, oh, this was not a good decision. I've got a job in Tallahassee.
Right.
And sells to another qualified person.
Yeah,
I don't know why we would impose any
we
special.
wouldn't. I'm saying if they decide to convert to rental,
They still have to rent to a qualified renter.
right, understood.
That's an
Yeah.
80%
I'm-
AMI, Chris.
Yeah, as long
I'm
as
just
it's.
saying that there's some, I don't know,
You're saying there's some,
if there's some,
there's the price.
there's some margin difference.
Yeah, the
Because,
price is so low and the rents are so high for some reason. in
yeah,
the
some
market,
reason, yeah, it was a
Somebody could explain.
financial play,
I
yeah.
understand
And
what
I
you're
guess that's a market dynamic.
Maybe it's unlikely.
Yeah,
If it was like a low interest rate and someone had like a $900 mortgage and then they're renting $1,600,
Right,
that's profiting from.
Right.
an affordable
Assuming an
housing.
80% AMI can afford to.
Right.
Yeah, like,
right,
Right,
which, I don't know, that seems.
but they may have had,
Somebody.
they may have won the lottery and they put a
Yeah,
certain down payment.
yeah.
Some,
Qualifies for affordable home.
They-
You gotta find a way to make a little money each month, why not?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that, it's, yeah, I think going forward with the idea that this committee supports the rental option. And we wanna participate in a path forward to clarity.
Right. And let the council, through the ordinance committee or whomever, delineate more if need be.
So it seems to me that the general feeling is. You would like any prospective renter to have the same financial requirements as the prospective buyer.
yeah,
Well, that's.
And that's-
Still occupied housing.
Right, okay,
right,
I think that's what's there.
It's already there, isn't it?
It's in the ordinance,
Okay.
yeah.
And after that, I go, whatever his,
So I guess that begs the question, if they're gonna conform to the same financial requirements. And you're saying, yes, we express support for people who own it to rent it. Do you require any justification for that? Do you require an economic hardship, or can you just simply say, you know, I bought this when I was in this certain financial status, I now, for whatever reason, would like to vacate it and rent it, and I'm renting it to an applicant with the same financial requirements as me? Do we care that they had some sort of other reason to do that beyond just their desire to do it?
I guess, and let me expand that scenario to something more extreme. But a qualified person buys that home. And a period of time later, they win the lottery. And they wanna buy a bigger home,
You know,
but they don't wanna sell that one because it's underwater for whatever reason, interest rates went up. And they wanna rent it and they can make a few $100 a month renting it, but they have to rent it to a qualified person. Well, we've still succeeded in having an affordable home, it
Right.
just happens to be rental now, and this person happened to get lucky. I
Yeah,
think I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't think we
I'm
should
okay with that. I'm okay with that.
judge the person's need or their rationale.
So
and you can't
qualifications,
predict what the circumstances are gonna be that are presented. You're better off not trying to, you know,
We can't.
how
watch
many
every
balls can
scenario.
I keep in the air? You know, we don't know, so don't try and kind of just. As long as they qualify under the same standards that the prior owner has. Then they're good to go.
I mean, that seems to be the intent behind the affordable housing, right? Is you're
Right.
catering to a demographic and a certain financial status.
Yeah.
That's a limitation, and as long as that still is met and you're still housing someone in the same condition, that seems to be the prevailing interest, I think.
Mhm.
Right. So we can get an answer to the question of who actually has the authority to allow it. And how that happens, and if
Yeah.
that's something that requires amending documents, we'll bring that.
But
I'll bring that back to you.
I think we're good.
Great. Any public comment from anyone? Anybody,
One online.
online comments?
We're not popular.
We're not voting on anything like this.
I do wanna recognize that, to your question about short-term rentals,
Yeah.
before we adjourn. That's a valid consideration, I don't think we're prepared to talk about necessarily tonight, but except to mention it. And. I don't-
What was the question about short-term?
So we're developing a new ordinance, right? On
Right.
short-term rentals, it's been at least presented to the town council once, the ordinance is talked about a few times.
Yep,
I've listened to all those meetings. The general direction is I think, a good one, a strict one. Where we would create two districts in town. One is a beachfront district, which traditionally has a lot of rentals, and supposedly according to people that they kind of accept that in the beachfront areas. And then a non-beachfront area. Within the beachfront areas zone, there would be pretty much free short-term rental usage, that there'll be a number set, but it's pretty much allowed to be used as a short-term rental zone property. Outside that beachfront, they would not allow non-owner occupied short-term rentals. So somebody couldn't buy a property, not live in it, and rent it out as a business.
right.
Is that?
That's
Judge,
the,
that's your
yeah.
understanding, right? Yeah. To me, that's the right, my opinion is that's the right move.
yeah, unfettered short-term rentals.
Right.
You're not in as people who appeared before us said, you're not in the short-term rental business, you're in the hotel business at that point.
Right, so it's.
Exactly.
But if somebody, if an owner wants to rent out their property. You know, a couple times.
Longer than 28 days.
Yeah, under some number of days, that's fine. But the number of days is in question.
Right.
But as long as they really live there and that's their primary residence. Based on the tax returns and all that stuff, they can rent out their house a little bit to make some money. We didn't feel like, the council didn't feel like they could restrict that owner's right to make some income. But they just can't run a hotel.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Ian, remind what the restraints are that the present draft has, how often and what length? Is it 28 days?
I know that 28 days has been a metric within our existing zoning that to try to define that. I don't recall what the most recent.
Yeah, I
draft
know,
is.
yeah,
Just again, where that's at in the process, it's going back to ordinance on March 5th, so next Thursday for another turn there. Before eventually coming forward to the council, and that will require multiple readings. So you would have the ability, so that wouldn't be on for first reading earlier before March 18th. So you could certainly discuss this at your March meeting, and that would happen either just after first read or certainly before public hearing and second read. So you could provide some feedback if you'd like.
So I think it should be an agenda item for our next meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been involved with this short-term rental thing, God, before I left council. A couple of years before. Remember,
Yeah.
Bill, it was on and off ordinance.
yeah, the teens.
And that.
Yeah.
And I know that I get things from the main realtors and they were already sending out things. Get revved up to go harass Scarborough.
Right,
Yeah.
well, that's why I think it's important for us to make a public statement as often as possible.
Right.
The good thing is it's not gonna finalize before we have our next meeting. And
Right.
maybe then that'll give Liam and Tom a chance to come to us with a kind of, here's where it's at. And we can provide input before or at second reading.
And one of my huge arguments way back when was not only, you got people in and out in a residential neighborhood, but it was also removing that inventory from housing.
Right, it drives up the price.
Right. And if you want to rent your house, then, I'm going to teach in China for 2 years and I want to rent my house out. Great. That's great. Go ahead and do it, But short-term rentals, yeah, no.
I mean, and the objective here is a good one, because when you think about it, yeah, all of our beach communities have a huge history of short-term rentals. But once you move half a mile to a mile back up on
Right.
Pleasant Road, you've got all these very traditional neighborhoods.
Right.
And the last thing they want is people coming and going who they don't know. And that's what I think the motivation is to try and cut that off.
Well, and you want to get ahead of
Perspective, I think
you want to get ahead of the ADU stuff too, because people are gonna build those and then want to short-term rent them, which again may be okay because allegedly it's owner occupied, but that's something to keep in the back of your head too. How much of that?
But Jean Reed,
Yeah.
remove that owner occupancy requirement for ADUs. So somebody can put 3 ADUs in their backyard and rent them all out. And
As short-term rentals?
Yeah, and rent out their house as well.
That's
So
ridiculous.
and Speaker Fecto at the meeting, he said that the reason they did that is because the people who wanted to put ADUs in came to them and said, if it's owner occupied, we get a lower valuation. So if it's not owner occupied, you get a higher valuation, which proves the fact that these businesses drive up the cost.
Oh yeah, no, I know that. Trust me.
Businesses can pay more for property than as a resident can. And then it takes takes it out of inventory, so it's a double whammy on
right.
on housing.
It's just something
And
for us.
that's why, and we would oppose it from that perspective, not the nuisance, safety, trash, noise perspective. We would take it from a housing perspective and the impact on housing availability in our community.
Yep.
Good.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
There you go.
Third, vote,
Great.
unanimous.
Thank
Good
you.
meeting.
Thanks,
Bye, Jean
Liam.
Marie.
Bye. Thank you.